Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MOGIBETH, and for those of y'all who are new here, I own a six-figure reselling business selling women's clothing on places like Poshmark, eBay, Tradesy, and Mercari, and that is what we're talking about today. We're talking about all four of those platforms. We're gonna go over some basic information about each of these platforms and what I love about each platform and what I hate about each platform. And there's plenty there for me to complain about. But I'm not gonna do a huge deep dive into each one of these platforms. If you want a more comprehensive review of each one of these platforms, like when they started, how big their user base is, etc., I've done a video on this that I'll link up on the screen. I did it 2 years ago. It's 40 minutes long, and some of the information is out of date, but I just rewatched it and I actually jogged my memory about a lot of things. And so I think it's actually a really useful video. But since filming that video, I've had a lot more experience on these platforms, especially on eBay and Tradesy. I still have strong opinions about Mercari, but if you're gonna take any of my words with a grain of salt, let it be my opinions about Mercari. Let me just review this real quick. I've had, as of today is March 30th, I've had $341,869.98 in sales on Poshmark, $80,452.11 of sales on eBay, which unfortunately I could not find a graphic for my total lifetime sales on eBay, so I had to break it down. And I want to break it down a little bit for you anyway. In 2019, I only had $403.31 in sales. In 2020, I had $13,449.21 in sales. In 2021, so last year, I had $49,302.46 worth of sales. And in this year so far, we're nearing the end of March, I've had $17,297.13 in sales. On Tradesy, I've had $29,883.50 worth of sales. And then on Mercari, I've only had $2,626 worth of sales, which is why I say, take my words about Mercari with a grain of salt. But hopefully I'll have a more informed opinion about Mercari moving forward, because I do want to list more over there. But obviously for the majority of my reselling career, I've been primarily a Poshmark seller. However, I've been growing a lot on eBay, and I'm really hoping for my eBay sales to slowly catch up with my Poshmark sales, and they are, which is very exciting. And I actually make a lot of sales on Tradesy for Tradesy, which I'll talk about later. And then obviously Mercari needs improvement. And there are more platforms, there are more marketplaces upon which you can sell. There's Facebook Marketplace, Depop, Etsy, Citizen, the list goes on and on and on. I'm talking about these four today because these are the four that I have experience selling on. So if you want to leave a comment down below of another platform that you love, let me know. So today on this video, I'm going to discuss each platform. And when I discuss the platform, I'm going to discuss their fee structure, their shipping options, their return structure, and then what I love and what I hate about each platform. And then I'll end the video with just some quick recommendations on what I personally would recommend when it comes to cross-listing on different platforms. Okay, so let's go and let's start with the platform I have the most experience with, and that is Poshmark. Okay, so Poshmark's fee structure is that they take 20% of sales unless your sale is $15 or less, at which point they take a flat fee of $3. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Their shipping is also very simple and very straightforward. They offer you one option, and it is a priority mail label. It's currently priced at $7.67, but that price does go up at least once a year. Now, as a seller, you can offer a discount for shipping for your buyers. You can offer a discount where shipping will cost $5.95, $4.99, or you can offer free shipping. You can do that either within the listing itself, or you can do it on any offer that you send. And then sometimes Poshmark will run promotions where they will cover the cost of either discounted shipping, or they just started doing a free shipping promotion. All right, returns. Let me just read this. All sales are final on Poshmark unless the buyer receives an item that is not as described within the listing, is sent the wrong item, or is in some other way not as described. The buyer can report their problem to Poshmark within 3 days of delivery. Reporting a problem is typically called opening a case, and if a buyer opens a case, you'll receive a email with a subject line that looks like this. The buyer will have the option of outlining their issue, adding photos, and generally just kind of pleading their case for why they think a return is necessary. Then you, as the seller, have the ability to respond. You can fight the case, so you can say why the reasons they gave don't justify a return. You can provide pictures, I think you can provide videos, or you can just approve the case. You can accept the case if you want. Ultimately, Poshmark will decide if they're going to accept the return or not. There are rare instances in which Poshmark will give both parties their money. That's happened to me a couple times in the past couple months. But overall, the returns are actually pretty straightforward. I know a lot of people fear getting cases, but as far as all these other platforms, Poshmark's return system seems to be the most fair and transparent, which let's just jump into now what I love about Poshmark. And that is one of the things I actually love about Poshmark. I think their return system is the best. It's the most well thought through. I think it's the most fair. It gives both parties the opportunity to voice their opinions, their concerns. A lot of times you get cases that rule not in your favor, and it's frustrating, but at least, you know, you got the chance to discuss that. And it really kind of comes down to whoever Poshmark's customer service agent is deciding. Sometimes they're very lenient, sometimes they're not. But generally, I tend to think the process is pretty fair. But what I really love about Poshmark is it's very, very user-friendly compared to some of these other platforms. It's really simple to use. It's really simple to upload items, sell items. It's really easy to ship items, really easy to buy items. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it's also really intuitive, easy to use, and generates a lot of sales. It's the only platform on this list that makes bundling really easy, which is a really great feature for both buyers and sellers. And it actually has a fairly large user base, and the user base that is on there are primarily buying clothes. They're primarily looking for fashion related items. So if you are a clothing reseller, I think it's a really, really good platform to be on. Okay, so I love Poshmark. I do. It's my primary platform. It's made me a lot of money, obviously, and it's allowed me to have a business and work for myself and to employ others. But being so intimately familiar with the platform as I am, there are definitely things I hate. So let's start out with, first of all, the 20% fee is really high compared to some of these other platforms. I would probably argue it's justified based off of some of the conveniences of Poshmark, but it is certainly high. But really the thing I hate the most, especially right now, is the search algorithm. I said earlier it's easy to buy on Poshmark. I kind of want to like roll back that statement a little bit. It's a lot easier, I think, to sell on Poshmark than it is to buy on Poshmark, which is incredibly frustrating as a seller because we want buyers to have a good experience and to find items easily and to convert to paid customers easily. Poshmark has been pushing sharing, since the beginning, and I have a very low opinion of sharing. I use PoshVA to share my closet. I don't waste my time doing that anymore. But it seems as though sharing is becoming less and less useful. Over the past few months, Poshmark has released different search algorithms. They tried to switch to relevance, and they got a lot of pushback from the community. So now what they've done is they switched back to just shared, but they've just changed the just shared algorithm to be like a hybrid between just shared and relevance. So it's not truly a just shared algorithm anymore. And just shared is a horrible algorithm because it doesn't really actually show you what you're searching for. It just shows you items that have those keywords that have been shared most recently, which is oftentimes not what you want. And then the relevance algorithm is even worse. I've done a whole video on it, which I'll link up on the screen in case you are interested. I don't understand why it's so hard to create a good search algorithm. Most of these other platforms have been able to do it successfully. I mean, there's a pretty simple logic you could follow. And I, as a buyer on Poshmark, just get so frustrated shopping on there. So I really hope that Poshmark fixes their search algorithm. And that kind of leads me into my next point, which is Poshmark's vision when they started the company and where I think they need to go now. Like the new vision I think they should have are very different, and it seems like they're really clinging to the past. So Poshmark started out with the vision of being a social e-commerce platform. So it's like a hybrid between eBay and Facebook, or eBay and Instagram. And they really push, sharing, parties, following, stories, all these features that mean really absolutely nothing when it comes to making sales. And I really don't think it means much when it comes to buyers' interaction with the app. While I think it was actually a really good tool for just getting the word out about Poshmark, I think what Poshmark did really, really successfully is creating users who loved Poshmark, and they would spread the word. They had so much really great word of mouth marketing, and through the parties, through PoshFest, so many things. There were just so many people who were evangelizing this app, and that were like really, really, really hardcore Poshmark fans. And there's a whole Poshmark community because of it. I think that really helped them scale and grow much more quickly than these other ones on this list. And I think, having that kind of social vision helped them with that. However, now they are, a much larger company. They're a publicly traded company. I don't think the social e-commerce vision is really going to lead them to be the biggest pre-owned e-commerce platform, which I honestly think, I know it's crazy, but I think they could really shoot for that. I mean, it's just a very easy to use app. I think they really could grow to be even bigger than they are, but I think they are clinging so hard to this social vision that it's hampering their growth. If they invested more in machine learning, AI, and different aspects that made the buyer experience better, I think they could really become like the Amazon of pre-owned items. But they are not. And so that's just one of the things that irks me, is management's vision of a social e-commerce platform. I think, it's kind of like that old saying, what got you to where you were is not going to get you to where you could be. And I think they just need to let go of that and kind of shed some skin. But we'll see. There are other small things about Poshmark that I can't stand. The fact that they don't have saved search yet, like, that's an easy feature that would make the buying experience so much better. They have a 50 draft limit, which is frustrating, especially being such a large platform. It's not very seller friendly. Another thing that's not very seller friendly, and this is a small thing, but it's a big thing to me, on their My Sales page, they just don't show the SKU. So in order to get the SKU, you have to open up each sale individually. Another thing that's so not seller friendly is they, somewhat recently added a section for additional notes. So you could add SKU, you could add your cost of goods, you could add additional notes, but your cost of goods, you can't add cents. Like, they make you round up to the nearest dollar, which is insane. Why would they do that? Obviously, the majority of the things we buy are going to include cents. I mean, it just doesn't allow for it. That feature is virtually useless. It's also just really easy to lose track of offers, because the way they break up offers is really not great. It would be really nice to have a section dedicated to offers received from buyers or counter offers received from buyers. But currently, when you go to active offers, it's mixed in with all the offers you've sent. And so if you're like me and you're sending hundreds of offers a day, it's really easy to lose track of when someone sends you an offer. There are plenty of other little small nitpicky things I could pick out about Poshmark. And another thing I will say that I love about Poshmark is that they are continually making incremental improvements, and they are constantly trying to make their app better. I have hope that some of these things on this list, especially saved search, will someday be incorporated into Poshmark. But there are other things that I'm not even mentioning, like the fact that Poshmark is really seeming to invite more and more large retail players onto their platform. That's why they introduced the bulk listing feature, and that's, obviously not aligned with the supporting small sellers vision. But let me know in the comments down below, what are some things you love and some things you hate about Poshmark that I didn't mention. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the beast, the big one, and that is eBay. And I'm just gonna quickly just lay out some information here. There's a lot to cover about eBay, and next month I am going to put out a eBay for beginners video. It's gonna go into the fee structure, the shipping, and the returns in more detail. But for now, we're just gonna go over it briefly. So eBay's fee structure, and I'm really gonna cover just fixed price sales. I'm not going to cover auction sales because that's a little bit different in their fee structure. Okay, so the first fee with eBay that we're going to cover, and we're only going to cover two main fees, is insertion fee. So if you start on eBay, you don't have a store, you're just starting out, you get 250 listings free. Not 250 listings per month, because the way eBay operates is that the listings get relisted every month. They expire and get automatically relisted every month. So after 250 listings, your 250 first listing is going to incur a 30-cent insertion fee, and so that is going to be charged to you whether you sell the item or not. This is why a lot of people who sell on eBay have store subscriptions, and I have a premium store subscription. So with that, I get 10,000 free listings, and then after 10,000 I have an insertion fee of 10 cents. But there are different store subscriptions, which I'll just put up on the screen now in terms of how much they cost and how many listings that you get. There are also other benefits that come along with the different store subscriptions, which I'll just go ahead and put a link down to this below, so in case you want to check it out and see what kind of store subscription would work best for you. But that's how insertion fees work. Okay, so the other type of fee that I wanted to cover is final value fee. And this is the fee that is charged to you when you make a sale. Each category within eBay has a different final value fee. I'll link down below the link for finding final value fees per category, etc. Today we're just going to talk about clothing. For clothing, if you make a sale of $100 or more, it's going to be 8% without an additional 30-cent fee. If it's less than $100, it's going to be 12.9% with an additional 30-cent final value fee. Okay, so let's move on to eBay shipping. There's a variety of different shipping options within eBay. There's two camps of people. Some people love having the customization of shipping, and then some people love the simplicity of something like Poshmark. You know, it depends on where you fall. I have learned to appreciate both, but I think as a beginner reseller, Poshmark's system is better. And once you get in the swing of something like eBay, then you learn that shipping doesn't have to cost $7.67 for clothing, you know, like more than 50% of the time. But anyways, there are two general options when it comes to eBay shipping. The first is flat, so it's the same cost to all buyers. And the second is calculated, which means the cost varies based off of the buyer's location. For both, you're going to have to select a carrier. So for instance, if you want to ship USPS priority mail, USPS flat rate, or something like FedEx ground, and you'll have to select a handling time, so how long you give yourself to basically get that shipment out the door. So you can pick same day, 1 day, 2 day, etc. And then with eBay, of course, you can have international sales. So they have two different kinds of options when it comes to that. You can do the global shipping program, which means you basically just ship your item to Kentucky and they handle all of the customs and everything, which is great. It is more expensive for the buyer most of the time. Or you can handle the international shipping yourself, and again, you'll have the flat shipping or the calculated shipping options, and you're going to have to fill out customs forms, which vary depending on which carrier you select. All right, so moving on to returns. There are two different types of returns on eBay. The first is returns that follow your returns policy. So if you accept returns, someone opens a return just as part of the gig. And then the second is items not as described returns, which can happen no matter what your returns policy is. For your returns policy, you can choose not to accept returns. If you choose to accept returns, you have a few options. You can either select that you'll pay for the return cost, or that the buyer will pay for the return cost. You can also choose the return window. It can either be 30 days or 60 days for clothing. However, no matter what return policy you choose, a buyer can always open return on an item if your item arrives damaged, doesn't match the listing description, or is the wrong item. Okay. So what I love, and then we'll get into what I hate. So one of the things I love the most about eBay is that I can sell internationally. And I actually do make quite a few really good international sales, especially on higher priced items. And since I sell exclusively through global shipping program, I don't really have to deal with returns in regards to those, which is great. And I'm always really happy to get an international sale. eBay has the largest user base out of any platform on this list, so you can definitely be just an eBay seller and make really good money. You can obviously be just a Poshmark seller and make good money, but the earning potential on eBay is a lot higher. They have features that make selling really easy, like bulk editing. That's something that's really unique to eBay. If you want to go in and change, you know, your shipping costs on all of your listings all at once, you can do that on eBay, which is great. They also have things like unlimited drafts, which make it really, really easy to be a seller on there. And they just have a lot more seller-oriented features that make it easier to be a seller and can make you a more informed and professional seller. Okay, I'm sure there are other things about eBay I love, but those are the main ones. The things that I hate. Number one, I hate that you can have sales that go unpaid. It's just bonkers to me. I get a decent amount of sales that go unpaid, and it really stings when it's those large price sales. I mean, I remember in January I had over $2,000 worth of sales that went unpaid, which for my level of selling on eBay was a lot. And I think eBay's trying to solve this problem. They do have it so that if a buyer selects buy it now, they have to pay. They also have it so that if a buyer makes an offer, they have to have a form of payment saved already. You can opt into that or not. But still, if a buyer makes an offer and you accept it, they don't necessarily have to pay. They can just ghost you, which is so frustrating. Another thing I don't like about eBay, and this is something that really just irks me, is that they give you really harsh penalties for mistakes. I'm still paying for mistakes that I made, you know, last year when I was basically an inexperienced seller. They don't really give you a lot of wiggle room when it comes to making mistakes, which would be fine if their platform was simple and intuitive, but it's not. There's a really steep learning curve, and so you're bound to make mistakes in the beginning of your eBay journey, and yet you're going to be penalized pretty harshly for them for a year. So I think that is frustrating. It really makes it harder to become a new seller on eBay, and eBay definitely does reward and prioritize their experienced sellers over their new sellers. Okay, so the next thing I hate about eBay is the returns. On any platform, you're gonna have returns, and I think that's just something they have to accept. Being in retail, being in e-commerce, returns is just part of the game, and the better you can create systems around your returns, the less you have to like sweat it every time it happens. However, with eBay returns, it's just particularly frustrating because the item not as described returns essentially allows them to return something for any reason, because there's no checking process, there's no verification process that the item actually wasn't sold as described. So I've had several people open up INAD return cases where they basically say it didn't fit. Or I had one person who's like, I received a medium, which is what I sold it as, but it fits more like a large. And when I call eBay and say, hey, it was sold as described, I mean, it just doesn't fit them, they tell me, well, too bad. There's nothing we can do. All we can do is if the item comes back to you and it's not as you sold it, then we can do something about that. That's about the level of protection that you get, and you only get, I think, like a 50% refund or something like that if you receive a damaged item. The next thing I hate about eBay is that it's so hard to find information, like really important critical information. Getting sales data older than 90 days is really hard. Just finding, you know, your final value fees is really hard. They make it not intuitive whatsoever. I mean, even earlier in the video, when I was just trying to see my lifetime earnings or my lifetime sales on eBay, very difficult or impossible to find. When I was doing my taxes, going through the different eBay reports and different, you know, pages of different costs, etc., was just a nightmare. It took me forever when I was just trying to find my returns, like how much I had spent on return shipping for INAD cases. They could make that information much more accessible, and it would be so much more seller friendly, but it is a zoo on eBay, and it's just been patched together over the decades to the point that it's so hard to find certain information. It's also just really buggy. I mean, there's a lot of little bugs that you just kind of learn to accept when you're on eBay. One being that it oftentimes will tell you that you have like offers when you don't. And so every time it says you have 2 offers, I'm like, I have there's about a 50% chance I have 0 offers. I'm gonna click on this and waste my time. But just little things like that. I mean, there are a bunch of things about eBay that are just a headache and a half, and it's just an old platform that really desperately needs a like thorough renovation, like a thorough haul, which I don't think they'll ever do because it would piss off so many people. But man, there's a lot of clunky, out of date parts of eBay that should give these other platforms a massive advantage, honestly. But I'm sure I didn't cover everything. Let me know in the comments down below what you love and what you hate about eBay that I didn't cover. But moving on, let's talk about Tradesy. Tradesy. Talk about a love-hate relationship here. Okay, their fee structure, 19.8% of all sales unless it's $50 or less, and then it's a flat rate of $7.50 plus a 2.9% transfer fee, making it the most expensive fee structure of all of these platforms. The shipping has 3 very bizarre options. I mean, okay, I won't say bizarre. They're very straightforward. The first is that you can order a shipping kit, and that will cost the buyer $30 for shipping. Other than really amateur sellers, probably no one selects that option. The next is a prepaid shipping label, which is a flat rate of $15. I mean, you thought Poshmark was high for their prepaid label. $15 that the buyer has to pay. And then the last is to ship on your own, and that is a flat shipping rate, so there's no calculated shipping, and that is also paid by the buyer. So all of these are paid by the buyer. You don't have the option unless you want to do free shipping and just do ship on your own, set it to 0, which is what I used to do. They're all paid by the buyer. The next is returns. This is another unique return policy. You can return your item for any reason on Tradesy for site credit within 4 days of delivery, unless the item is final sale. Items that are final sale include items that are priced at less than $50. If they're in the following categories: weddings, maternity, fragrance, hosiery, swimming, sports bras, tech accessories, and activewear gear. If it's sold at a significant discount from a Tradesy in-house closet, or select rare items. So their return policy is definitely in Tradesy's favor because people can return things for any reason, but then they can only return it for site credit, so Tradesy's not losing anything, except for they actually do pay for the return shipping cost as of now. I think I received an email that said we're doing that during the pandemic. I don't know if they're going to at some point stop, but otherwise they don't really lose that sale. That buyer's just gonna buy something else, but the sellers definitely lose that sale, and so the percentage of returns that you get on Tradesy is fairly high. Which brings me to, I guess, what I love and what I hate. Okay, so what I love is that because Tradesy has so few seller features, so few features in general, there's no offers to like or feature on Tradesy. So people are essentially forced to buy full price unless they want to message you. This leads to just fewer sales on Tradesy in general, but the sales that you do get are oftentimes full price, which is great. There's definitely a different customer base on Tradesy, and than say on Poshmark or eBay. The customer base tends to be, I guess, fairly less price sensitive because they aren't haggling, and they tend to be more designer conscious and purchase more higher end items, which is really nice. Okay, so what I hate about Tradesy, that's about it. I mean, some people really like the aesthetic of Tradesy because they make all of their listings with a white background. I don't really like it. I think it kind of looks, I don't know, like very cold and austere, and I don't know, and it's just not my cup of tea, but it's fine. I don't hate it. But what I do hate is the returns policy. I just cannot stand it. I get so many returns on Tradesy. Every time I sell something, I'm just crossing my fingers that it's not returned. Some of my biggest sales on Tradesy have been returned. It's just a lot of returns, but you know, there are a lot of sales that do go through. I also hate the high fees. However, because I will say the caveat to this, because items typically sell full price, my profit margins are actually very similar on like Poshmark, eBay, and Tradesy. you know, even though the fees are high and annoying, with that increase in sale price, it does kind of even out. But really kind of like what I hate about Tradesy is there's just a tiny customer base. I mean, there's just no way you could be a Tradesy only seller and make a living income. I list everything on there. I list every single day on there, and it's still very slow. I'll typically have like $1,000 to $3,000 in sales total, and then returns on top of that. Is it worth your time? I don't know. You know, it's just a teeny tiny customer base, and they don't really invest a lot in marketing, and it doesn't really seem like they're trying to grow that customer base very aggressively. So it's definitely kind of a bottom tier platform. The only reason I really was gravitating towards it is because of the customer base. Makeup being more high end, and I think if you sell a lot of, you know, mid-tier, higher tier designer luxury brands, then it's worth being over there, but it's just very, very small customer base. And then there are all kinds of things about Tradesy that are irksome, like there's no multi-quantity listings, there's nowhere to put a SKU, there's no offers likers features, there's no bundles. I mean, there's like virtually nothing. It's a very basic platform. Okay, which brings me to another platform which I kind of view as being fairly basic, which is good and bad, and that is our last platform, which is Mercari. So let's go over their fee structure, which is very simple and lovely. They used to just do 10%, which was great. Now they have followed in Tradesy's footsteps and added a 2.9% plus 30-cent payment processing fee for every sale. So that's 10% plus that 2.9% plus the 30 cents. Still pretty low. The lowest on the list by far. Actually, that's like matches eBay exactly. But of course, I didn't even mention on here eBay promoted listings and all the other things that can go into your fees. But Mercari, it is going to cap at 12.9% plus that 30-cent payment processing fee. Next is Mercari shipping, which I think is actually, you know, one of the more straightforward, simpler shipping options. You can choose a Mercari shipping label where you would add your weight and dimensions, select a carrier, and then you choose who buys, either the buyer or the seller, or you can ship on your own, which if you ship on your own, that means it's always going to be free to the buyer. You can't put any kind of flat rate shipping charge, and then you're going to pay for shipping. And then lastly, returns. I'm just going to read this. A buyer may be eligible for a refund for the following reasons. It doesn't match the listing, it's possibly not authentic or counterfeit, it doesn't work, it's damaged, the item is incomplete, or you have the wrong item. If the buyer has an issue with an item that they've received, they must contact Mercari within 72 hours of delivery. The sellers, our agents, and or our systems can decide if an item is eligible for a return and or a refund. Buyer may receive a refund to the originating payment instrument, funds added to balance, or a Mercari account credit, depending on eligibility. Their returns structure is very oblique. Like, it's not very straightforward or clear. When you have a return, it's like you kind of get a notification out of nowhere. I have very little experience getting returns on Mercari, but it is not at all transparent from what I hear and from my limited experience. So I don't think it's also very easy to return. It's not like eBay where you can return for any reason. There is a verification process involved. What that verification process is like, I mean, it says the sellers, our agents, and or our systems can decide if an item is eligible. So let me know in the comments down below if you've had more experience with Mercari returns. When they say sellers decide if an item is eligible, I've never heard of that being the case, but maybe it is. Okay, so let's jump into what I love. I do love the simplicity of it. It is very, very easy to use, very, very easy to list, which is great, especially for newer resellers. And I think the easier it is, you know, the faster the platform can grow. Also, a great fee structure, 10% is really low, plus that 2.9%. That's really advantageous and can make a big impact on your profit margins. I also like that they do invest a lot in marketing. I see a lot of Mercari ads. They sponsor resellers. They are not a platform native to the United States, unlike the other three. They are a Japanese-based platform that has expanded to the United States, and because of that, they're trying to increase their market share, and they just spend a lot of money on marketing because of it, which is, I think it's good. It's good from a seller perspective because it's kind of like, you know, when you're an insurance agent or you're a real estate agent and you choose the agency you want to work for based partially on how much marketing that the main company is doing for you. I think when you're choosing a platform, you want to choose a platform that is investing in growing their market share and growing the amount of buyers on their platform. Okay, so what I hate, there are actually some things I very much hate about Mercari. So number one, the offers to likers feature makes no sense. It makes no sense. I can't believe it's still the way it is. I would have thought by now it would have changed. Once you send an offer, so like say you get one person to like an item and you send offers to likers for 10% off. Say it's, you know, a $20 item. You send an offer to liker for 10% off, so you send an $18 offer. That offer's only going to that one liker, right? Say the next day you get 3 more likers. You cannot send that same offer to those new likers. You have to discount it further. And so every time you send an offer to liker, you have to keep discounting it, no matter if it's to new likers or not. It makes zero sense. Like, it just is, I cannot stand it. Please, Mercari, if anyone who works for Mercari is watching this, please change that. I also kind of mentioned this, it irks me because I do ship on your own for almost all these platforms, that you can't charge for shipping when you ship on your own. That would be an easy fix. I don't know why they chose not to do that. I also don't like that there's no multi-quantity, there's no bundles. The condition descriptions are like non-inclusive, so the way they've described each condition, I mean, if you have an item that's brand new with tags but has a flaw, there's like no option to choose. The brand list is really limited and it doesn't allow you to input that brand manually. You have to like choose like not a brand or something. And I also hate, this is also on Tradesy and I hate it, the smart pricing feature. Never choose that. I never choose it, and I would recommend you never ever choose it. And just in general, all these things have been missing for a long time, and it just doesn't seem like Mercari is putting any money into making incremental improvements within their app, which is frustrating from a selling perspective. They did add local sales, so you can do local pickup and so forth now on Mercari, so they're trying to compete with Facebook Marketplace, and eBay has that feature too. So that was an improvement, but like changing some of these things that really needed to be changed or improved, like bundles really should be a part of Mercari. And on Mercari's website, when you search like how to create a bundle, they literally tell you to create a listing for all the items in your bundle, which is just embarrassing. I mean, I don't know, it's just a horrible buyer experience in that case. And that leads me to the last point, and that's their customer base is still pretty small. I still don't think you could be a Mercari only seller and make a full-time income. Correct me if I'm wrong, especially if you sell more on Mercari than I do, but it's just, I mean, they are competing for market share. They're trying to expand. Again, they're expanding from Japan, and it's just still a pretty small platform. So that's why I don't invest a ton of time in it primarily. But overall, there are some definitely great things about Mercari. So I want to close out this video with just some recommendations that I have when it comes to cross-listing, what I would tell you to do if you came to me and asked, hey, where would you recommend cross-listing? Where would you recommend putting your efforts towards? And this is what I really think. If you are a clothing reseller, this is what I do, and this is what I would recommend to you. Poshmark and eBay are going to be your 2 biggest, best platforms to focus on. I would, in the very beginning, choose one. Choose either Poshmark or eBay and really get to know it, become comfortable with it, scale it and systematize it as much as you can, and then integrate the other one. Focus on either Poshmark or eBay, and let those two be your very main platforms. They're the two biggest platforms, but they're two very, very different platforms. eBay especially has a very steep learning curve, and so I would choose one and then expand to the other and really, really focus. That's going to be the majority of your business. And I would recommend all clothing resellers aim for that goal. I personally think you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket or the other. As we've seen, when they make changes, things can just go awry. And so I think it's really good to be diversified within those two bigger platforms as a clothing reseller. And then if you have more bandwidth, or you can hire a VA to easily cross-list, incorporate other ones. You can just try Tradesy, try Mercari, try Facebook Marketplace. These are all, I think, going to be kind of more like of the side hustle. If you think of eBay and Poshmark being your main hustle, all these other platforms can be side hustles in which you can make supplementary income, but it's not going to be your primary income as a reseller, I don't think. So only if you have the bandwidth, only if you're doing Poshmark and eBay really, really well, would I say even think about incorporating the other ones. They all have really great things about them, but they all have issues and they all could use improvement, and that's true for virtually anything, any business. So it's not like this particular industry is unique in that way. But that is my recommendation. That's what I would recommend to you. That is the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too long. It probably was. But let me know in the comments down below, what are some things that I missed about any of the platforms. I'm gonna be very, very, very curious about the comment section of this video. But yeah, that's it. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I will see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye.